Oh, it's finally done. This took so long to make. I've spent like 8 hours on this so far. It's not perfect, but it's good enough right now. So, replay. When you complete a level, it plays it back at full speed. So how do you make a replay system? You'd first assume the right way to do it would be just record all your positions and rotations and everything throughout your play, and then when you're done, you just play it all back at the same speed. But that consumes a lot of memory, obviously. You don't need to record every single frame, and it's just overdoing it. And the right way to do it, but pretty much every game uses for a replay system, is to record your input. Just record input changes anytime you press down a key and press up a key or whatever, and the time that you press that, and then to replay the system, you just play through all the input, and if this system is deterministic, there's nothing random about it, then it'll play through exactly as how you had played it, and that just saves a lot on memory, and it's actually turns out to be easier to implement in the long run because you don't have to record the positions of every element of the scene. You just record just the input. It's only one thing to handle. I believe this is how Braid handles their rewind system as well. And I know it's how StarCraft does its replay system. But the problem for me is I couldn't just record the input and play it back because I want the character to move at full speed, full time, right? I don't want to have to accelerate, right? If I were to just cut out all the parts where I'm not moving, I would still accelerate from 0 to max speed. I would constantly move and then have to accelerate, and it would be really jerky and weird. So to handle that, I found, after a lot of experimentation and messing around, I can just get the time, to track the time of when something happens, I multiply it. What I get for the current time is I have a current time variable, and then I add the delta, or the time since the last frame, to it every frame, and multiply the delta first by the current acceleration. So whenever you press a movement key or a turn key, it increases, your acceleration goes from 0 up to 1. It takes like 2 seconds to accelerate to max speed. So if I multiply that acceleration times the delta, then if I'm not moving, the time won't increase. And if I am starting to move, then it'll increase slowly, but not at regular speed. So it just removes any acceleration factor and will keep everything at a constant speed. So if it took me 5 seconds to move from point A to point B, then by multiplying the acceleration times the delta, I cut out a full second, basically. So what I'm doing is I just record the current time and the position anytime I change the movement keys being pressed. And then when I replay it, I just interpolate between the positions based on whatever the replay time is at. And then for rotation, though, I can't just interpolate between rotations, because what if you spin several times in a circle? Then the starting rotation and the end rotation might only be 20 degrees apart, and in a replay that wouldn't, match what the player done. So instead, I just track changes in the turn direction, and then I just have the player turn at the max. I think it's like 6 degrees a second. They turn just in that direction until the replay time hits the next input, and then they just, where also the rotation at that point is stored. So I just, in case something's not accurate, it just resets it to whatever the rotation at that point is, and then keeps rotating. And it works fairly well. It's not like super precise. I think there's some issues with the rotation that need to be worked out. Like it might be overshooting by 1 degree or so whenever there's a change in turn, which would cause everything in the scene to move a little more and not be as precise as if it was on the player's playthrough. But it's good enough right now. I had to remove the mouse turning because it was just not working, and I don't think anyone uses it anyways. It was just too complicated to set up with the replay system, so I just left it out. And I've also made so you can scale the replay speeds, make it go faster or slower, and I think it looks a lot better at slower speeds. I might try making a way to make it dynamic, so when you're moving and shifting around a lot and dodging around a lot of bullets, then it slows down, And then when there's nothing around, it just speeds up and plays through faster. Get through the boring parts, And there's no new demo this week. I'm waiting. I need to tweak some stuff and polish before I put this in a demo. And that's all for this devlog. I'll see you guys next time.